Have you ever wondered why Dragon Ball Z poses look so powerful? Let me show you exactly how to recreate that same energy in 3D. In this video, I'm breaking down how to pose a 3D character in an anime style, specifically the dynamic, explosive look of Dragon Ball Z. You'll learn what makes an anime pose feel powerful and appealing, which controls matter the most, and how to push a pose for maximum impact. Alright, let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another video on how to pose characters like Dragon Ball Z. It's where we focus on trying to, show you guys how to create very dynamic anime style posing, hence Dragon Ball Z. So if you're into that kind of stuff, this is the video for you. So I started off with like bringing a Vegeta rig that I found into my scene. I would like to, so I've created a camera here. Let's get two views. I'll go straight into it. That's my camera view. Let's go to perspective. And I just want to set a camera before I do anything else. So there, let's say that. In this view, I want to get rid of all controllers so I can see my character. Okay, that's Vegeta. Let's see. Polygons. Let's create a plane. There we go. So it's not completely flat. And let's just create some just background. Doesn't have to be anything special. Okay, so we want to focus on creating Dragon Ball Z-like poses. What are Dragon Ball Z poses? They're very dynamic, attacking, powerful, strong, martial arts-like poses. These are when they're fighting, and even when they're standing, it's super, super heroic. That's why I like all the poses in that animation from the manga. It's very, very strong and powerful. Cool, let's get started. Let's start with our first pose. I mean, we have Vegeta, so let's do a pose that is Vegeta. So let me just zoom into the character itself. So I want to bring the body down because he's really crouching low. And if you can see, even though he's looking straight at us, at the camera, or like slightly over your right shoulder, his body is tilted sideways, very martial arts like. I think it's based on Kung Fu. He doesn't look like much. He looks like he's doing the Karate Kid move right now. But just give me a moment. I'll get there. Give me some time, guys. Okay, so let's move this knee a little bit more to the right. I don't need to rotate the whole body. The main controller can be looking at us, and I can move the gimbal, which is the one just below. Or maybe I can just have him rotate a bit more like this. I'm looking at this area here between the abdomen and the body. Seems to be fine-ish. Let's pull this back. And when you are animating in 3D or posing in 3D, you will have limitations. Sometimes you can't really get the poses you want based on the characters you have. But you're just going to have to, get as close as you can. So this demo is here to show you how to pose your characters in anime style or push your poses as much as you can to those really graphic shapes in anime. So let's pull this hip back. And when you are posing, this is what we're posing from this. But make sure you are in more space to make sure your character feels like they're in balance. Like they're not just, it looks okay from here. So you want a bit of rotation on the chest, even though, and I can see there's a bit of an angle on that leg. Should be coming out a bit more like that. There we go. I mean, that pose is super cool, isn't it? Would expect him to lean more a bit. Because this part is between his abdomen and his chest, there's not a lot of space, but I can see there's quite a bit over here. And maybe I could just draw this down a bit. And maybe get a bit more of a C shape. If you look at this and go, hey, Fatih, you're pushing this a bit too much. That's the point. I want to do that. So maybe this part, I can have him rotate even more. There we go. I just want to feel like his head is sinking into his chest just to get that super dynamic look. And I'll push quite a bit. And then once I feel like I'm breaking the rig, there, let's bring his head down a bit. Look, you know where he has like a V on his shape on his forehead? That gap that he has there is almost on top of where his shoulders are. His head is like this. You can't even see his chin because he's facing us. And maybe I can do this. rotate forward a bit more. Yeah, like that. Go back, down. There we go. That's a bit better. I pulled his head down too much now that I've done the rotation. So maybe I can just pull back on this. Rotate the head up. There we go. I think we're getting there a little bit more. I do want a bit of a tilt, like side rotation on the chest. I don't want it to be completely flat towards us. So he's rotating forward like this, which is great. But I do want a bit of a side rotation on the chest. You never want all rotations on one axis, guys. Just a little bit of a tilt there. Maybe it's a bit too much. There we go. Now I'll just readjust the head. There we go. And the facial doesn't look too great in this character on this rig. I mean, it's a nice rig. So I will use the main eyebrow controls just to bring the eyebrows down. But if you feel like you're losing the eyes, the black in the eyes, there, that's kind of your limit. Don't push any more than that. And maybe just like an angry mouth shape. Just pull this down a bit like that. Yeah, I don't know if I can get any more than that on this character. We'll see. It's more the body posing for the mechanics rather than the facial that I'm more concerned about or interested in about. Let's slightly tilt this guy a little bit more left. Like that. There we go. Now let's get rid of these arms that look, very robotic. There we go. That's the shoulders. Let's bring the shoulders up. Because obviously when this arm is up, the shoulders would naturally be up as well. He's I like the fact how he's doing this pose, and it's you just barely see his eyes. So it's almost covering himself, like doing, I'm ready to attack you. I'm in that attack pose, but I'm not going to blind myself from seeing what's happening. You know, I'm in attack, but I'm also defending myself. So these finger poses are going to be a little bit painful in terms of it's going to take a bit of time to do that. So this almost looks broken, like the way it's rotated away from him. Let's get the easy one out of the way first. It's going to make me feel better. Just getting one more out of the way quick. There, let's go down. And I'm looking how far it's going into the foreground, well, background. Let's pull this back up a bit. Let's rotate. There we go. That's kind of it. Now, cool. Now I just need to get a fist. I know what a fist looks like, so I don't need to look at that much as long as I know it's a fist. And the thing is, once you do these kind of poses once, you probably don't need to do it again. Just save in Studio Library. And if you're using the same rig and you need to use the same pose again and again, just have it done once is enough. So let me just get these fingertips rotated as well a little bit more. Trying to really get that tension felt. But we don't want the fingers going into the palm. Something like that, maybe. As close as you can. Let's take a look at the reference. I would say finger poses, fingers, hands, and the facial are the most tedious ones. But once you have an expression that you like, or a pose with the fingers you like, just save it into your studio library. It's a free tool. You should be able to download it if you just search it online, and it's so handy. But for those of you that are doing the pose for the first time, this is how I would go about it. Always start from the root of the fingers, just where your knuckles are. There, that's the base. That's the second part, and the third one here does not rotate as much. So try to animate the fingers based on how they move. Like I wouldn't rotate this bit, that bit, and then go from there onwards. This over here, the root gives me the amount of rotation I need for the whole body to move. Think of it like you're moving the whole body. You would move the whole body with the global from where the hips are, and then you would move the chest and then the neck and then the head. So it's just trying to animate things in accordance to how the body moves and works. Okay, and I think once we're done with this index finger, I can move on to just looking over here, keeping a track of that. It's kind of going a little bit into the palm. Pull it up a little bit. Rotate this guy. I think we're kind of fine. Now I will get the thumb. I think this is the only one where I would have to rotate the top part more. Let's see how much I can get. Nope. I still need to only get the base more. There. Like, we really want to feel like this thumb is really on top of those fingers. It's like really clenched up. It kind of looks like it from here, from this angle. Yeah, kind of looks like it there. Okay, I'm kind of happy with that. The only thing is, I would like this arm to be going more into the background rather than sideways. So if you look at this, there's going to be a bit more of a perspective on it. When I do that, it's kind of going more away from us. There. Maybe pull it out a little bit. Yeah, something like that. Cool. I would say maybe like the body's pretty close, or maybe even there. I just need to fix this hand or this arm, like mainly the fingers, to be honest. That's going to be the trickiest part. Okay, so first and foremost, let's get the arm in the right place. But it's not exactly straight. It's kind of coming downwards, which is what I have over here. But let's see if we can get a bit more of that and then rotate this guy up. There, maybe rotate forward a little bit more. Maybe like this. There. I'll start posing the fingers. These ones over here, quite tricky. You know what? I might want to bring Vegeta's reference right next to him just so I can see the finger poses because it's quite, there's a lot happening in that one. There we go. I think that's enough. I just want to get a real good look at this. Okay. So the pinky and the wedding ring finger is closed. The other two are doing this claw kind of thing, and so is the thumb. I can work with that. The only thing I notice now is the arm is a bit more open towards us over here. Like this. Yeah, just like that. And now I can rotate the hand like that. Don't worry if like the fingers aren't right in between the eyes. I can still move the whole arm from here afterwards. I'm more focused on now. I've got the hand and the arms in the right position or close enough. Let me get these working first, and then I can move the whole arm again if need be. I mean, once the thing with Dragon Ball Z guys or animations, your character's usually going from one pose to another and just holding that pose. It's moving really fast, disappearing, and holding another pose. it's very rare that you see things happening very fluidly. When things are very fluid, it loses that impactness and that very it loses power. When you want to get something quite impactful, for it to feel quite powerful, it's usually a case of your character not moving around so much, holding a pose, slightly moving, disappearing, bang, holding another pose. So it's a combination of not too much movement and moving a big space in a short, like couple frames. Once you do that, you also need to be in a very strong dynamic martial arts kind of pose. So those two things combined together creates, very dynamic, strong, powerful animation. It also does help to, like make it feel powerful, quick. Let's raise this finger up a little bit just so you can feel tension. The moment you do this, raise your fingers up, you can feel that tension in the fingers over here, especially this one. Now that I've added it, I want to do the same thing for the other one. There's a bit of a rotation inwards. So, oh yeah, that's what I was going to say to you guys. Where I lost my train of thought. When you get these really powerful, but you want these poses to be very strong and as clear as possible and as dynamic as possible. Why? Because you're moving from pose to pose and you're going to stay in that pose for a little while. And you're not doing no overshoots, like you're not, punching and following through and coming back. You're removing some of those principles from normal animation, those 12 principles that you have. You won't have a follow through. If you want something to feel quite impactful, you'll hit, hold that pose, and then maybe you'll have a follow through with like a tail. He has a tail, he's hair, but you won't necessarily in a fight, in this kind of like Dragon Ball Z stylized animation, you won't have that. So let's bring this down a bit. I'm cheating it a little bit just to get that pose that I want. Look at that. Let's see if I can turn it around like this. Rotate it up a bit more. Yeah, there we go. Now what I want to do with this one is you can see over here, like really pay attention to the pose, guys. Maybe there's a bit of a rotation on this one as well. So I really try to be picky with these poses. This is the one that needs the most. Let's pull this down. Let's see how much I can get away with. Ah, that looks a bit broken. Oh no. There we go. I might need to pull these two back up. These initial two. They look too far away from where this guy is. There we go. So now I can rotate the arm and get like his eyes right in between here. Like this. That's what he's doing. Okay, so let me pull him out. That's the Vegeta pose. Just on top. So that's how I would get that pose. Which one should we go for next? These two are pretty similar in terms of very martial arts poses. It would be nice to go for the Super Saiyan 3 version of Goku. We can do it with Vegeta, where they're charging up and we get that tension. So I already have a fist in his hand, so I could just basically move on from what I have with this pose. But yeah, that's how I would get this pose over here with Vegeta's pose in terms of the body, the weight. Now let's go for the Goku charging up pose. Um, so what I want to do is I want to key all these controllers. Okay, go one frame forward. See that. I just want to work off this. I think this pose, the legs aren't too far off from what we got over here. So I'll start with just raising the body up. So I'm trying to do this Goku Super Saiyan uh, pose. Something like that. Let's have him look in this direction. He's rotating him. Let me just get rid of this. There we go. Now just have a forward rotation. Careful, sometimes you might be grabbing controllers that aren't the ones you're looking for. Okay. I can actually get rid of this controller, like all the keys that I put onto this hands, because I'm no longer going to be using that kind of crane tiger pose that's there. Let's go 42, which is where the second pose is. Where's that? I like to use this to zero things out. I need to go to the my workspace for animbots because there's a tool that I like that's not showing here for some reason. There we go. There's the one. Click. So you can select the controls you want. Hit this button over here. It's like when you turn a TV on and off button. When you click that, it just zeroes out all the controllers. There we go. Back to what we had before. Okay, which one is the one for? Okay, that's the one. Let's raise his hands up. Let's rotate inwards because the fist is kind of inwards towards his body. So we want a bit of that, which is this there. And now let's rotate the fist there and a little bit upwards and a little bit sideways. There we go. That feels much better. But look how much he's leaning forward. He's really, he's got this kind of like turtle back C-shape thing going on. So we really want to like push what we have there. There we go. Something like this. Just rotates, just hunching him over really helps quite a lot. And now over here, I would say it's time to move his head. Let's get a rotation on the head. Is that the head controller? Yes, it is. What is this one? That's the neck. So was I animating or posing the neck this time? Let's see. I would rotate the neck a bit more up. Seems too much now. Whoops. Let me go back. Control Z. There we go. That was a bit more better. Come on, rotates. Okay, let's see if we can get his mouth open just to get like an angry, raging Saiyan shout. Yeah, the mouth. Let's see what we can do. Might not be the best one, but it's still nice to get some sort of a expression in the character. We went from there to this. Let's see how much of this we can open. Let's really open the mouth up. These guys are not. It's going to be difficult to get that shape. But at least from here, maybe we can get it. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Yeah, you don't want to see the gums of the rig. When it becomes gummy, it just feels weird. There, you just want to see the white of the teeth on the top and the bottom. It's okay if you can see if you see the tongue, but you just want to avoid the gum just above the teeth as much as you can. Yeah, facial's not so great. Needs a bit more work on this, but I think for now it's doing its job. I can bring the eyebrows down more. Maybe rotate them. There, pull it up a bit more, maybe. See if I can open this up. The more white you get around the eyes, maybe just make it look a bit more there, just a bit more intense. The facial isn't going to be easy with this rig. It needs a bit more work, but the body's the one we're focusing on. Anyway, we're very close to the pose. Just very quickly, based on the previous pose that we had, this one, I just kept the bottom half of the body the same. Maybe I'll move this part of the leg forward in a second, but yeah, I managed to get that done pretty quickly because it was pretty close to the same pose. It kind of depends on the rig you have sometimes. It's just the way it's rigged. I'm not a rigger, so I don't know what causes that, but I have found that some rigs you just select the controls of the poses you've done before. Just hit this button over here. Ta-da, it works. At this point, I decided to do a time lapse of my process of posing out the other hand, just to speed up things and not have you guys watch the same thing over again. So you can see I'm really going through the same process of moving the fingers from the base, moving all the way up to the tips, making some small adjustments on the forearm and the arm itself to get closer to what the pose is, and finally wrapping up with using the thumb and getting that really tense feel for the hand itself. Yeah, and finally I'll just pull this leg forward, this one on the left. Because I can see from here his leg is a bit more forward. Maybe he needs to be slightly higher as well. Maybe this leg can be a bit more to the side, just to get that squat-like feeling. Down like this. There we go. Something along those lines. Yeah. Maybe a bit more right. He feels like he's tilting to the left a bit too much. There. Yeah, so just check in perspective that your character is on balance or imbalance, that their center of gravity is not making them feel like they're tilting too forward, that they're going to tip over. It will look okay here, but something will feel a little bit off, and you don't want that. So we go from this Kung Fu kind of like martial arts pose to this one here. And yeah. Cool. I'll leave it there, guys. I'll put like 2 poses for now, and if you guys like this kind of a video, I'll have another one where I do multiple more. But I wanted to keep this one short, just to show you guys like some, you know, how to pose your characters in Dragon Ball Z, keeping your characters. So that was the end of how to pose your characters like Dragon Ball Z. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that and it was useful for you. If you found it useful, hit the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll be having more anime tutorials for posing characters, animating characters. So yeah, cool. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks. If you found this Dragon Ball Z posing demo helpful and you want to learn how to pose your characters in an anime style in 3D, then hit the like and subscribe and join the channel. I post tutorials, post studies, and full animation breakdowns every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.